everybody here. Yeah. As a holding tank to be allowed with an approved Adams County limited holding tank use permit on property located in the northwest quarter, southwest quarter, section 20, town 17, north, range 5 east, lots 1 and 2, CSM 4397 at 2262 County Road Z in the town of Quincy. I did receive correspondence from the town of Quincy. They do not object to the request. The town board did express concerns regarding the use of the property. That was at their July 31st meeting. Then I did also receive correspondence from the applicant that Tim Delata will be representing them today for the hearing, and he is present. Under the ordinance, normally a holding tank cannot be used as a system of, unless it's a replacement system, and this is going to be a new system going in, and they're requesting to use a holding tank. And like I said, Tim is here if you have more questions for him.
Okay. Dave, question? So is this a complete new system? Is it a mound? Is this, what is this?
Only a holding tank.
Just the holding tank?
Yep.
And the purpose of the holding tank is to provide more for the existing system?
No, it's, the original system was designed to have kitchenettes in all the motel units.
Right.
Mark has remodeled it, took all the kitchen units out of it, and the building is not attached to the motel. It's a building that was used for recreation. They used to have a game room in there.
Right.
And since they don't have kitchen service in the units anymore, Mark wants that as a gathering room. They want to put a sink in there. The system is designed big enough we could run the sink to the existing septic, but there's a lot of logistics tearing up the blacktop and it's a long ways away. So the easiest thing to do is put a holding tank in, and as much as that sink is going to be used, they'll be lucky if they got to pump it once a year.
So what is the complexity of the smaller units along the north side? Are those still going to be rented out or?
Yep.
Okay,
As far as I know, it's going to be used as a motel.
still a motel?
Yep.
Okay. You? Oh, anything?
I don't have any questions right now.
Yeah, I have a question.
I possibly might have to abstain because of
That's up to you.
relationship. Just so it doesn't cause any controversy, I will abstain.
Robert?
Yeah, the existing POWTS
Yep.
system. Does it have the capability to handle what you're talking about?
It would, except now with the way the code changed, we probably would have to label the system as an at-risk system and would include a whole bunch of testing to do, and then possibly put an aeration system in. The trend now,
To
because,
make it approved?
yeah, I mean, it was designed for kitchens in all the units, so it probably would, but we'd have to go through a lot of paperwork. And the trend now, because the way the state changed the law about usage, anything that has a kitchen in it has to be tested. So the trend now is to put a holding tank in. They're doing it up in Rome for the brewery. They did it out at the campground out by Brooks.
And then you're gonna have to dig up the driveway to get the connection across.
We would, but the easiest thing with kitchen waste now is to put in a holding tank, because the state requires testing and aeration and stuff for kitchen waste.
Now, Dustin might be involved in this question. This, an approved Adams County limited holding tank use that's what you need is
Right.
permit for.
Adams County only allows holding tanks for replacement systems, which this would be in a sense a replacement system, but also Adams County doesn't allow holding tanks if there's any other system that can be put in on it.
Because there was no
So
septic
what-
system serving this building, that's why I'm considering a new system
Yeah.
and why we're here. Had there been a septic system from 1960 or whatever, I mean, old system, and then they wanted to switch to this, then they more than likely would be allowed to under the ordinance. But because nothing was ever connected to this building previously, that's why we're here today.
What are the requirements for the holding tank? I mean, that's a county requirement to get an approved holding tank system.
Right, there's a state code that regulates septic systems and holding tanks. The state code doesn't require that it's
the state allows each county and
Yeah.
municipality to regulate if they want holding tanks for new construction. Our county voted not to have holding tanks for new construction. So since this is considered new construction, we need permission to go against our code.
But it would be a code compliant holding tank when it's all said and done. Alarms, that type of thing.
Then I kind of like would know where it's located on the property. It's like an acre and a half.
It's gonna be
3 units on the property.
right. I mean, we didn't get that far. It would be located by the whole building. The building's up there.
It's in the application package.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. It's more.
This is the building that he's putting up,
It's
or,
up
sorry, that we're connecting, or they're connecting to. And there's, this was the septic plan for the original motel.
No, that's the house.
Sorry for the
The
house.
house is over here. Right. And this building is,
Where are we gonna put the home?
it's right over here. There's the old septic.
It's not marked.
No, not in, the building's sitting right about here, and then the holding tank is sitting, so that we don't interfere with the existing septic system for the house. And then this septic system for the motel is up over here.
I just feel there about if I knew where the hell it was going.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what that other drawing shows.
The connection between that drawing and that. So. That's the storage supposed to be, if this is more.
That's the same building, right?
Right.
Yeah, that building and that building are the same building. This is the plan from
No,
91.
for the house.
Right.
Not the motel. The motel was installed, I'm gonna guess,
So,
95, 98.
so while you're here,
Yeah.
where is the existing?
It's over here.
That's over there, not numbered.
Right. This building here is that.
I think we understand.
Trustee on this from the town board of Quincy. They say the town board expressed concerns regarding use of the property.
They weren't sure what the final use was gonna be, if it was gonna stay a motel or not. The applicant, or Dave did ask the applicant, and he answered that. Approving this doesn't change the use of the property. That would be a different process if they did want to go through that, but that was something that the town board expressed.
This is just ignorance on my part. How's a holding tank monitored and how's it emptied and,
There's a warning that goes off when it's 2/3 full.
okay?
And then annually, and then every time it pumps, we have the computer program with the county. We log that we pumped it. And then at the end of the year, we gotta fill up it how many times we pumped it. The state years ago tried to put water meters on the homes, but it didn't work. People were using water to water their homes and their lawns, so they just did away with that part of the code.
And this one is considered sewage then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, septic joints.
Are there any more questions, or if not, we'll open it up. Public comments?
All right, at this time, Chairman wants to open up to public comment. Anybody, limit to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of the request? Anybody wishing to speak in favor of the request? Third time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the request? Anybody wishing to speak against this request? Anyone wishing to speak against this request? Final time, anybody wishing to speak against this request? Hearing none?
Okay, closing public. Okay, are there any other questions from the board? If not, need a motion to approve or not allow?
I'll make a motion if I might, Bob.
Yes.
due to the circumstances of the property, that we approve his request
Okay, have a
as
motion.
written.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Hear my voice vote. Vivian.
Jansen,
Yes.
Eggersdorf,
Yes.
Bankowski,
Yes.
and Caldwell.
Yes.
And note that
Linda's
Lula
abstaining.
abstained.
Motion is approved.
All right. The next application is for Jeffrey and Michelle Shepherd. Special exception request under section 405-12C of the Adams County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to allow an accessory building prior to a residence on property located in the northeast quarter, northwest quarter, northeast quarter. Section 34, Town 15 North, Range 6 East, Lot 13, Dells Valley, unrecorded plat. Address is 925 Fir Avenue in the town of Springville.
All right, we'll open it for questions.
I do have,
I'm sorry, we said.
I have some course, well,
Oh, okay.
the town for me, or some correspondence. Should have received an email. To this may concern, I understand there have been several issues within the county township of people building and moving into the garage buildings once they're put up. We're not your typical weekenders, and I would like to share with you that we do have ties to the community. We first bought the property in 2016 with the intention of retiring here. That decision hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed is that we'll be 3 years sooner than originally planned. My family is from the area. My dad is buried in New Lisbon out on Hog Island Road, where my mom will also be. She's 87 and worked at Hess Memorial Hospital in Boston for several years. We want to be close to care for their final resting place. My husband has been a member of the American Legion Post 110 in New Lisbon for 30 years now. I also have family in Reedsburg. We're not getting any younger, so we have a plan. We plan to do things a little at a time as we could physically do them. My husband is a disabled veteran with a bad back. We don't hunt. We like to fish occasionally, enjoy the wildlife. We have a nice camper that we stay in when we come up to take care of the lawn, etc. This camper has every amenity, has 2 hours to put in the building that we are planning, so that was never a thought. We plan on continuing to stay in the camper on weekends and vacations until the day our home is delivered and set up, well, septic and electric, so we can move in there. My husband just had his 60th birthday last week, only 2 more years. Over the last 7 years, we have been speaking to a gentleman at Castle Homes about the home that we have chosen and have gotten quotes from regarding the changes we would like to make to our forever home. We talk about how exciting the day will be when we can finally place that order. We can stop in there from time to time to show the grandkids that this is going to be our new home, or be our home. We have been in our current house for 32 years and have a full basement. We have accumulated a lot over that time. The new house will be on a slab. We need a place to store our stuff to be able to get our house on the market come summer, fall of 2026. We also have lawn equipment that needs to be stored. We are asking for your consideration for a special exception permit to build our start to our future we call our forever home.
Where's the home?
And then from the town of Springville, they did object to the request. The town plan commission was unanimous, a unanimous no decision. Was not a hardship. Once we start this, there is no reason to deny any request for the same. And that was at the August 26th meeting by the town board. Okay, that's all.
Okay, Linda? Any questions?
Not great at this moment.
Robert?
Not right now. I do have a question. What
That's, oh, sorry.
they're asking for an accessory building. The state or the county ordinances say no, you can't do that. They have some reasons for it, but I don't. This board has been approving some accessory buildings prior to a residence. We've been doing that, but only in the condition that it's for materials related to building the primary residence.
My question on that, Robert, is where were there were 3 other units we approved? What towns were they in, and did we stipulate on there that they had to build within a certain amount of time?
Yes, we have.
I can't come up with the names off the top of my head. There has been one where we did, there was one down in Del Prairie where we did require, or the board did require that they build within a certain amount of time. For the record, they did not build within a certain amount of time, and the shed has been removed. There was another one where they were required to combine it to a lot across the road. I think this board's done that a couple of times.
Sure.
I couldn't come up with all of them. I know this.
Dave, you got any questions?
Bob hit it on pretty good. Does it hit the hardship financial effect on others? This is one ordinance. Me personally, I don't agree with the county enforcing this. I mean, you can drive throughout this entire county, hundreds and hundreds. I'm not saying 1 or 2. There's hundreds of pole barns or garages that exceed I think 10 by 20 that are allowed. My feelings is it's not a hindrance to other people, me personally, okay? And that, a lot of people, I for one, back in the 90s, I did this because I was ignorant to the codes and even asked for it back in the 90s, okay? Now my eyes are open to what the county wants. Now I'm thinking different, okay? But I can see that, a lot of people want a storage unit before they build. But what we can imply and put it on the request is that the house has to be built within 2 years or whatever time allowance we allow. Is this application, is there any HOA that applies to it?
I have no idea.
Are the people here?
I think he's standing behind you.
All right.
Give me 2 years. I plan on.
No, is there an HOA that is applied to this?
No.
None.
Where do you store it? Where do you store this stuff?
Well, I've got most of it in my current residence down in Trever, Wisconsin, and I haul it back and forth every time I come up. And I do have a little 10 by 12 shed up there that's falling apart.
Well, let me have some of my opinion on that. I know people personally that have lived in their pole barn.
Yeah. No, sir, I got a 34-foot
That's
camper with all
what
the
Dave is
amenities.
directed toward you. So that's why the ordinance says, you don't build a pole barn until you have been started. You can start the shed and you can start the house at the same time. That's legal. I don't think you even need the board for that, do we? Justin?
Correct.
So that can be done at the same time. You get your building permit for your house, you can start building your shed right now.
The shed's a manufactured metal building. They said they would have it up in a day or two. I don't think I can get a cement slab poured,
Well, that's not the problem. He has to work 2 more years.
I still have to work 2 more years before I can retire. Well, a year and 10 months. So, technically, yeah, I could do the 2 years, but I don't know how.
Don't know how we can afford the house.
Yeah.
You have to retire, sell the house where we're at to afford the house here.
Well, my personal issue, Dave's talking about his. I built a pole barn, and I had 1 year to have an occupancy permit in my home. So I had to, or at my expense, the county was gonna tear down my pole barn, and I signed a piece of paper, I said, that's fine with me.
Yeah, that was.
Permit in 1 year.
Let's sign a piece of paper that says that.
That I'm aware of, this is the first time I'm seeing the local townships protesting.
Yeah.
Well, the township shut us down within 5 minutes. I mean, we were called weekenders. They were dead set in the first 2 minutes after we got there. I mean, it was like, and it's like, how, you know, I felt like, how can you say that we owned this property for 8 years? And it was like, it was a bad experience from the beginning. So,
Dustin, what is the history of that ordinance with the county? Is it because of septic that there's a concern? Is there a concern that people aren't going to build a home?
they don't want people living in their shed in the barns.
That's the primary.
Safety.
Because there's not a septic system there?
Well, that would be part of it, but also, a pole barn doesn't meet the uniform dwelling code as far as
That's
being
why
a
we have
residence.
camper.
Hmm?
That's why we have a 34-foot camper.
Right, but to answer your question, it won't meet the state building code as far as a house.
This equipment you bring up here, what is it and why do you bring it up?
Tractors, lawnmowers, you know, that kind of stuff. But the main intent is when we do start moving up our furniture and belongings from our house down in,
So that we can put our house on the market down there.
I got 34 years of stuff that I gotta start moving up here.
With a full basement.
And two things I did want to talk about with Dave's comment, it's 150 square feet is the limit. I think you said 10 by 20, but just so everybody's clear. And you may still see those around because this restriction does only apply on property zoned residential.
On what?
Property zoned residential.
Okay, gotcha.
The way the ordinance reads is in any residential district, but if the property is zoned A3 or A1, they don't need to come here. They can put up a shed before a house.
Right.
Or
On
never
5
build a
acres?
house, they can put up a shed.
You know,
On
it's
5 acres?
If it's zoned, it's what it's zoned, not the size. So if it's zoned A3, which is usually, if you're creating an A3 parcel, it has to be 5 acres.
Yeah.
But you can have 5 acres zoned residential also. And then it wouldn't be allowed. But if it's zoned ag, any of the ag districts, putting up the shed is permitted.
you know, I've seen it where, as Dustin says, it skirts the zoning for residential. I mean, I've actually been in pole barns that they've converted to houses, you know what I mean? And it's just to skirt the law, I'm gonna say the law and ordinances. But, you know, besides Jeffrey and Michael's here, Michelle, I mean, we're gonna be dealing with this on 3 other ones coming down today. So I like that, me personally, I like it where you can adapt something with this variance, that a house has to be built within 2 years or started, you know. I'm okay with, me personally, I'm okay with that.
I wouldn't say started, I'd say completed.
Is that possible with the way things are going right now? Can you order a house and have it completed within 2 years?
He'd be the one to ask. I think
If we
they've.
order the house now, they say it's,
We checked and at that point, it was 6 months. If you
Just
ordered the
waited
house.
2 years for a fire engine.
Well, it may or may not be. Ultimately, it's on them that if it doesn't, the shed's got to go.
So can we instead put some kind of requirement that there would be a porta potty or, I mean, I'm assuming if you've got a camper, you've got
we
a
have a camper
holding
with a
tank.
300-gallon holding tank.
I mean, that's why I'm wondering, is
Yeah,
that what the
permit
concern
for it.
is about people converting it and living in their garage? Is that the concern, is that there wouldn't be some kind of a septic system?
No, and that's what I was saying. I mean, yes, that's a component of it, but that doesn't meet the building code and it's not deemed a safe building to live in or to stay in. I mean, that's the purpose of the building
About
code.
something, we wouldn't be here today.
I mean, could there be a stipulation that the county can come out and inspect to make sure that we're not living in it once a month, once a quarter? You know.
I'm not sure I have the manpower for once a month, but,
You know what I mean?
3 days go up. I have a question about, when is the building permit issued relative to this time period we're talking about? Do they first get a building permit before they build their own house? Before they order their home to be built, when does the building permit enter in?
before any work is done on the property, they would need the building permit. So they could conceivably order the house And then, oh, it's gonna come in a month, then they work on their building permit. I wouldn't personally do it that way.
So
In a bill,
we're working on when is the building permit? That's when you become responsible
Exactly.
for your
Right.
actions.
That's why I'm asking for
For
the
building permit.
the building permit
You get a
now, so
building
that I can
permit,
Yes.
and then we're probably gonna give you a time period.
Yes.
so as far as I think I know where you're going with this. I guess what we've done in the past is, you have to obtain a building permit within a year, which is just getting the permit.
Yeah.
And occupancy, you have to have your occupancy permit, which is the final step in building, within 2 years or whatever time frame you guys determine. If the occupancy permit isn't issued by our department by whatever date you say, the shed's now a violation, it has to go away.
Yeah, so they get a building permit and they put the shed up, let's say that
Nope.
happens.
That's a zoning permit, not a building permit. The zoning permit's separate from the house. I mean, the zoning, the building, the shed and the house are gonna be two different issues. They would come in tomorrow and get a zone, if you guys approved it, they'd come in tomorrow and get a zoning permit for the shed. They could build it, put it on the property on Friday if they want. It's there, it's fine, but there is this outstanding stipulation that you have to have a house within 2 years. So then at whatever point, they're gonna come in and get a building permit, have the house built, ordered, whatever, delivered to the property, they do all the proper inspections. It's all done. The inspector goes out, does a final inspection, says, yep, meets the whole code, we're all good, issues an occupancy permit. So what the condition before in the past has been is 2 years to obtain that occupancy permit. So it's not that the house is started or in progress, it's moving ready.
Occupancy permit is a final.
It's done, yep.
But and that, you can do it that way, right? But where I see that there's, if you want to call it a hardship, is he basically has to work 2 years and have his other residents. And they need that money from the other residents to build this new,
That's not a hardship.
no?
No.
Okay,
It's-
well,
that's-
but this
it's
is
self-inflicted.
what his dilemma is. Okay, with this. So, if you say that the house has to be occupied in 2 years, you might want to say 2.5 is what I'm saying. You know, that's just thinking about the money he needs to have to build this house and sell the other one. He has to spend that much time at his other job before he retires.
It's a self-imposed hardship, but I don't agree with you. Well, are there any more questions? I will open up to the public comments.
All right, at this time, we'll open up to public comment. Any, same thing, 3-minute limit. Please state your name and address. And is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this request? Bob, you have somebody in the back, or state your name and address, please.
Al Arndt, 1041 Check Avenue, Preston Township. I'm chairman of the board. It's more of a question, did the other boards for that township, did they give you a reason why they denied it?
No. Well, other than they didn't want people living in their sheds.
That, to me, that's irrelevant if you're not gonna plan on living in it anyway, that
They didn't.
they're in compliance as far as that's concerned. They should be able to apply for that.
They did state that there was not a hardship and then also that it would, once we start there, there's no reason to deny any others. Is that it?
It's just that the hardship, they got hung up on one thing. Okay, hardship is up to the individual or board to decide, but they didn't give an accurate reason as far as my township would be to deny something like that.
All right.
Jody Shakey, this is from Springville?
Yeah.
Yes.
So unless things have changed, both Jerry Paler and Randy Thiessen, who are on the Springville Town Board, are also on planning and zoning. correct?
Correct.
They should know what's in the ordinance. So to claim hardship, I think, is incorrect. They could have just pointed to the ordinance, my opinion. They should know better.
Anybody else wishing to speak in, did I get an operator in here? Okay. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of the request? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of the request? Anybody wishing to speak? Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Third time, anybody wishing to speak against the request? That's all.
Are there any other questions from this committee? I would say that if someone approves this, if we approve this, we've got to put a time limit on occupancy.
Well, let me say this, I think, my opinion is it's premature. The job situation and their actions that they're asking to take are premature at this time. They're not prepared to come anywhere near to abiding by the ordinances. That's self-inflicted hardship. And to start this action at this time, I'm thinking it's premature. You're not ready, you gotta work 2 more years. I like playing the skies myself, you know, but there's a reality part to it where I can't quit my job.
Financially, I'm trying to.
I can't do it. I'm not ready to take this action.
It's a good point you bring up, Robert. Why does it have to be now? Why can't you wait a year before you do this?
What I would say is a grace period of 2 years, but I can see it because I've done it. Okay,
Dave,
now let me just.
We're talking, you said in the 90s, that's 30-some
I
years
know,
ago.
no. I'm telling you why I feel that build something first. Maybe he can bring up extractors, I'll get stuff, equipment, everything he wants, okay? Because of price. Price of lumber can change from now till 2 years, okay? Maybe he will store this. I mean, he's not building a 10 by 20. He's building what I think is a 30 by 40. 30 by 40. He could be buying stuff material-wise at a good price, store it, but still under the stipulation that he has to have this house built within 2 years. If not, that 30 by 40 is coming down.
So if we put a 2-year stipulation on it and they couldn't get it done in 2 years, would they come back and ask for more time on there? What would happen?
They could. It would.
It's a mod home, isn't it?
It's not.
Yeah, well, I know 2 years.
I don't know, can you get them in 2 years? Like,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so many things
Yes.
that are so far behind.
No, that's not an issue.
Yeah. But they could come back to the board and request an extension. There'd be another public hearing, this entire process over again.
You know, I agree with Robert. They're not prepared to do this, to make this move. So,
But why don't we want people being able to have all of their stuff stored here to maintain their property? So every town, school, county are having budget issues. If there's more property value, which that would raise the value of their property, there's gonna.
you're not
It's
gonna
more
get your
tax.
fire engine.
Well, it's more tax revenue that's coming in. I guess I just don't understand the background of that. I don't know that people would.
I don't buy into the fact that we allow this because we're gonna get tax money. I think that's a poor excuse to allow something. We're gonna get tax dollars.
Well, but we will. Because the assessor gets a copy of the permit.
And pardon me, but this is oxymoronic, that it's inconvenient to haul your garden tractors up here to mow your grass and take care of the property up here, and now you got the property down there, you're gonna have to haul it back down there.
We have two.
to take care of your property down there.
Some stuff we do have here, right, and we're trying to store it, but the building that is existing there now, he's gotten hurt a couple times because the prior people that were there built it kind of shoddy. I would love to tear it down, but we need some kind of storage to.
If we give you 2 years, can you make that date?
Pardon?
If we give you 2 years for occupancy permit from today's date, can you do it?
I would say 2.5.
Pardon?
I would say 2.5. I couldn't guarantee 2, but 2.5.
Because we have ordinances in there to have law and order.
I understand that, I do. I mean, I can't sit here today and prove that I'm not gonna move into there, other than I have my camper sitting there. You know, I mean, I have a beautiful camper, we use it on the weekends. We went through every permit that we needed, I mean, we follow the laws. We're just asking to give us a little bit of leeway so that we could have some storage. We try and take care of the place where my dad's buried. My mom, you know, God forbid, it's not gonna be much longer, she'll be there.
Well, I guess, is there any more discussion? If not, we need to make a motion one way or another.
2.5 years, yes, sir, we could wait 2.5 years. Well, I make a motion, and I do it with empathy, that we deny it on the grounds that it's a lot of it's self-imposed hardship. And that a better time would be more appropriate.
And I would second that motion. A motion in a second. Janine, voice vote, please.
Jansen?
No.
No, you
I do
don't.
not approve the motion.
Hagerstorf?
No, I cannot.
Pankowski?
I'm with Robert, I mean, you know, not to approve.
Is that what we're doing? We're not approving.
Oh, wait, no,
The motion is to
was
deny.
To
right?
deny.
So a no vote
Is-
would mean that you don't want to deny it right now. A yes vote would be to deny the application. So you're both correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Bob voted yes.
Yes.
Now it's Linda.
No.
No. I want a stipulation to this thing. 2 years.
Well, finish the vote on this one and then somebody make a motion to add that as a condition. So you just voted which way?
No.
No. And did you ask him?
Yes.
Okay. So that motion failed. Now, if somebody would like to make a motion to attach a condition of whatever time frame.
Can I mention something before we make this motion?
You're still deliberating.
So, you know, you have on this planning and zoning application, it states here by the Board of Adjustment shall expire within 2 years, you know what I mean? Anything that we say, you know, unless there's a considerable amount of work already, it could be extended. So I would make a motion to grant this variance with the rule of that he finishes the project within 2 years of the date. Am I saying that right?
You want to attach the condition that they obtain occupancy permit for a house within 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. If that motion passes, then you come back and actually approve the whole thing with that condition. So the motion is just to attach the condition that occupancy for the house is within 2 years.
From what date?
Today's date?
Today, from today, Robert.
I just want that on the
Yep.
record.
Thank you. Clarifies it.
You're okay with that? You know, we shouldn't be talking to you at this point, but.
You need a second.
Did you say
I'll second that
something?
motion. I'll second that motion, Robert.
Bob seconded it. Another roll call.
Yes.
Jansen, yes. Hagerstorf,
I realize the motion's been made. I just want to say something. You know, what happens to the shed if it doesn't follow through?
Then it's gone.
It becomes a violation and has to be removed.
But they come back and ask for more.
They could come back. They'd have to do it before the 2 years is done.
And we amend the motion at this point to deny any further delays. Make that a condition. I can see this going on 20 years.
Well, if they come back to the board and the board denies them next time because you don't want to do an extension, it's done.
2 years from now, I'm not gonna worry about it, Robert.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you have to worry about it. Where are you at on the vote?
You need a second.
Jansen, that's where I got it.
I seconded, Dave said yes. Oh,
Yes.
Yep, so I'm doing the roll.
yes.
So,
Okay.
Bula,
Yes.
okay, you all agree with that?
Now you would need a motion in a second to approve the application with the attached condition.
Gotta start somewhere.
Okay.
I make a motion, you're waiting for a motion. I make a motion.
To approve the application with the attached condition.
Application with the attached condition.
I'll second that.
Okay,
You all agree.
motion in a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
The next application, John Gisling, special exception request under section 40512C of the Adams County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to allow an accessory building prior to a residence on property in the Park Northeast Quarter Lot 1 CSM 4070, section 30, Town North 19 North, Range 5 East. And that's at 1101 County Highway Z in the town of Monroe. I'm assuming the gentleman that just walked to the front is the applicant. He did supply quite a bit of paperwork. I believe you all have a copy of it, right, Janine? Photos, drawings showing where it's going, proposed what the shed would look like. The town of Monroe, they also objected to this request. They were to not build a storage building before a residence. That was at their August 27th meeting. I did also receive an email. Hi, Dustin, I'm emailing you as a resident of Monroe, not chairman. Our town board voted against John building a garage before a house, yet in the past, they've allowed 3 other properties to do the exact same thing he wants to do. Here are pictures of the 3 that were allowed on 19th Drive. John wants to build on a small lot. He already owns a house and just wants a building for his toys, nothing more. He can't even put it on the lot, so in the future, a house can be built. So I don't see why we shouldn't be allowed to do exactly what the board approved Matt Nozinski doing, putting a nice looking building on a lot, increasing its value. Thanks for the planning and zoning considering in favor of this project. That's for Kathy Renner. Is that where you got that 3 properties from? Before when you asked?
Yeah.
Okay. Those are all just, I think, in the town of Monroe. And she also had emails of, did you get those emails? Copy of the other ones in that, and those are all in the same, I think they're all in the same subdivision?
No, but close.
Okay. So town Monroe voted against it. The highway department, they had no concerns with the request. So that is the correspondence I have.
size of the building?
Up in the air at this point, but shooting for like a 40 by 80 or 40 by 60, something like that.
Pretty big pole barn, you know what I mean? Without knowing the exact. And this is just a story.
You guys want to speak up so I can hear?
I asked, Rob, I asked him what the size of it, and he said it was up in the area, 40 by 50 or 40 by 80. That's a lot of toys. I have a lot of toys myself. Is this also for any of your neighbors, or would they be, are you thinking of putting other people's stuff in there?
Well, no, but I'm not saying I wouldn't, if I had space and
Well,
a neighbor wanted to put his boat in there, I might let him do it. But that's not that is not my plan, no, it's not. It is basically, the idea is to store, you know, my stuff that I need to move over there, but then to have additional space so I can buy more. You know, if the mood strikes, you know. It's, you never hear somebody say, I'm sorry, I built too big of a building. You know, it's always the other way, right? So.
on your diagram here, it says 40 by 80.
Yeah, that was that's my hope.
And what are your intentions with building residency?
Well, I have a house already, so I have no plans. I have no plans to put a house on this property.
But this shows here future house on the side.
Right. What I want to show there is that I was going to put my building in a location that didn't block a future house being built there at some time down the road. At this point, I have no plans to do that myself. But there's a spot for it.
Where is your home in relationship to this?
About 2.5, 3 miles away.
So I'm reading on the application here, it says I request to build a storage building on this property before building a residence. Why is it saying that for? I don't get it.
Well, because that's the ordinance is I have to build a residence first. So what I'm saying is I would like to.
Then you just said you didn't have no intention to build a residence.
Okay, well then,
I'm confused.
all right.
That's the ordinance language is why he wrote that on there.
Where on Z?
That was his interpretation.
It's south of the Monroe building there, south of C,
Okay, north of 21, south of C.
way north of 21. Yeah, it's
Here's-
close to C.
Okay.
It's in the middle of, yeah, I put that picture out just to show that it's in the middle of farmland. So there, like you said earlier, there's pole buildings everywhere around there.
Right.
Yeah, so a little dot is the circle. C is
North of that.
Chicago.
Are your neighbors aware of your intent
I have not,
to this
I have
property?
not discussed it with them, no. I thought, talking to the county, I thought that the county was going to,
We did notify the neighbors.
okay.
Okay.
This is the road into the campground.
Okay.
So he's a mile and south of that, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say about a mile. So it's right there, yeah, that little blue square there. So you can see it's all, you know, a lot of those properties that Kathy sent you in the email, that's all in a subdivision called Pequot Pines. So that's north of there. So my situation, I feel, in my opinion, it's more reasonable to put a pole barn on this lot because it's in the middle of farmland. So there's storage buildings all over around there.
Any questions from the committee? No, let's open it
I
up.
think I understand.
At this time, we'll open up to public comment, same as before, 3 minutes, state your name and address. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this request?
Andrew Nashevsky, 816 19th Court, Peyton, Pines. You mentioned 3, there's actually 7 just in my area on 19th and View, in which the building is built across the road or on the adjacent lot, on its own. So I'm just saying, I was at the meeting in Monroe with them, and the board was very, they wanted to pass, but he seems like a good guy. He has the same intention I have to build a nice place. And like I say, 7 that I took pictures of, that I know for a fact the property lines and I know were built, and Petenwell Pines alone. I know we're not the same division, but it's the precedent has been set, and there's 3 other ones, which I didn't know what the situation was, if they combined tax number or not, so. But I just wanted to say I support him, because this is exactly what I'm gonna do, and it's the same thing. Be a good neighbor, build a nice building, and, cover your property. Don't get your boat rained on, don't get your, toys rained on, so, thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of the request? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of the request? Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Third time, anybody wishing to speak against the request? Mr. Chairman?
Okay, any other comments from the committee?
Do we know why the town turned it down?
It's against the ordinance.
Well, but if they've got all these others that they have,
There is no precedent in the BOA. We have no precedent.
I'm just curious why the town turned it down if they've got a slew of others that they've accepted.
To not build the storage building before a residence was the only thing they said. And they don't send us copies of their minutes. The one thing I can say is the board is different than it was even a couple of years ago. I mean, it's a very newer board, I would say. But
You have no intentions of living in this thing?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I have, like I said, I have a residence already. I have had that residence for 12 years now. I bought this property 2 years ago. And I was ignorant on the zoning. Okay, that's my fault. But I'm a full-time, I live up here full-time now. I retired 4 years ago. So I am a full-time resident.
I would like to see something on this as far as size. As size.
Dave, what?
I would like to see something on this request as far as size of the building.
like a maximum size? Is that what you're?
Yeah. I mean, it's always nice to be a neighbor, but I mean, are you building this for your neighbor or are you building it for yourself? I mean, as that gentleman said, I'm sure this is an upstanding guy here, but, and like he says, there are so many of these barns out there, to say no to him and say yes to somebody else. I have a hard time with that saying no to, but if I say yes to this, I would want something as far as maximum size.
Looking at this drawing, are there any setbacks involved in this or not?
Yeah, there are setbacks that have to be followed, and we would make sure of that during the process. I mean, during the permitting process, if it was approved.
Dave, what would you suggest the size of it then?
Again, it's personal. I mean, how many toys does he have? I mean, if I had something 40 by 80, I couldn't fill it with toys that much. I couldn't afford it, but I don't know what this guy is planning to put in there. It's just toys.
Well, would you like me to respond to that?
Sure.
All right, pontoon boat, fishing boat, 2 jet skis, a vehicle, a trailer.
What trailer size?
I don't know, I haven't bought one yet because I don't have a place to put it.
I mean, I have a 40 by 50 and I've got all that in there. You know what I mean? But again, more is better. I get that, but me personally, I would like to see something here as far as a limit and what you can build.
How about 40 by 80? We'll
Is that
limit it
what
at
you
that. We'll limit it at that, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't, nothing bigger than that.
Appreciate your private conversation up there.
I'm
I'd like
sorry.
to know what you guys are talking about.
Size matters.
Because
We're talking about size of the pole barn that he wants to build.
I have an issue. By law, this BOA cannot entertain a precedent. Is that correct? So why are we doing this?
Because it's
You
been
can't
done
do it,
before.
Bob can't do it, you can't do it, and Dave, you can't do it. But you're doing it. Change the law. So you know which way I'm gonna vote. We don't have the authority. Is that correct, Dustin? As you read it.
I guess I don't understand what you're asking.
Why do we go, why, if the ordinance says. you
Hey,
cannot
question
build
about a precedent, does a precedent say that because of that we have to do it?
Okay, so
without a primary dwelling, I think, or structure on it. You can't do it. That's what it says.
well, okay, I'll come back to that part, but as far as precedence goes, you guys make a decision on this one, that doesn't mean you have to approve the next two today. It does not set a precedence. You also don't, you can take anything you want into consideration when making your decision on this one. So if you want to take into consideration that there were 7 of them on 19th Court, that's up to the board to choose, but just because they're there doesn't mean you have to take them into consideration. As far as the ordinance goes, it is specifically built into the ordinance that they can apply for this to do this. It's not getting around the ordinance. It says right here, an accessory structure may not be constructed in any residential district until its principal use or structure is present. A special exception must be granted to place an accessory building with no principal structure. So it says right in the ordinance, the process to go through to do exactly what they're asking, which is why they're here today. So yeah, right in that paragraph, it spells out, well, in general, you can't do it unless you go to the board and get approval.
We were at a training session up in Stevens Point, and they said that there, because 20 other people did it, the BOA has, should not consider in any way the issues involved in approving those other ones, why they were there for that matter. So we bring up the neighbors that have done that.
You can take into account neighborhood characteristics or those types of things. But yeah, just because they're there doesn't, I mean, yep, last month we approved one, so we have to do it this month. That's not, well, I guess the board can vote however they choose, but it doesn't mean you have to just because you did it before.
Dave, you want to put any limits on size on this thing, or?
I just want to say one more thing. Sorry about that, it was a fire call. You know, it's almost like if this was zoned, his property that he has of less than an acre business, wants to build a pole barn, you know what I mean? It's all the classification of zoning of this piece of property. I'd almost be more comfortable with him saying, hey, this is gonna be a business. I'm gonna store all my toys, you know what I mean?
Then change your answer to that question.
Well, but.
Except it's zone residential, which you
Right,
can't
I
have
understand he'd
business.
have to
Okay.
change that,
Yes,
request
okay.
that, all that stuff.
I want to be careful with that.
I know that, but I'm just saying, you know, if that was zoned commercial, there'd be no problems with this. But, and I can see Bob's point too, you know, here's, you know, what the county's asking that, you know, residential be built. I would like to see something, if this gets approved, that there would be a limit on the size, maximum.
And because he did put 40 by 80, that by default is what I would use.
Okay,
If you want smaller than that, then you would need to amend the application.
okay.
That's the questions I have.
Okay. Any more questions? Otherwise, we need a motion to approve or deny.
Speak up here. Well, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Jansen,
Yes.
Eggersdorf,
Yes.
Pinkowski,
No.
Ula,
Yes.
Caldwell.
No, I have to give a reason, that's a self-imposed hardship.
Okay, so the motion passed. You want to amend that motion, Dave, or make one to?
I don't think we have to do. No, 40 by 80 would be the limit.
So that's what you're doing then, 40 by 80?
It's already
Yeah.
in the request.
You questioned the size before.
I think that was before you saw the 40 by 80.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because it's actually written in
Yeah.
Okay, all right, motion passed.
Okay, they still need your zoning permits?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, next application is Matt, I'm sorry about the last name.
Mashevsky, I'm actually Andrew's father. I have a letter from him that speaks on his behalf.
Okay. This is a special exception request under section 405-12C of the Adams County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance and 396-61D of the Adams County Shoreline Wetland and Habitat Protection Ordinance to allow an accessory structure prior to a residence on property located in the southwest quarter, northeast quarter, section 7, town 19 north, range 5 east, south half of lots 13 and 14 of Edenwell Pines. Address is 816 19th Court in the town of Monroe. The applicant, I received your letter and I'm unable to attend this meeting in person. I am available via phone call if needed, but I will be allowing Andrew Nishef, sorry, Andrew, my father, to speak on my behalf. He will have photo and plans for what's to be built on the property located at 816 19th Court. Yeah, the board should have received some of the photos already, or some of the stuff.
I actually sent I didn't get this letter till last week, Wednesday, and so I mailed it out Thursday, so it Labor Day. I don't know if you received all the stuff I have.
Was that
The
one
extra
that I
stuff.
had you print out for everybody? I don't remember which applicant that was for.
It was just all the pictures I have of the others, but no, okay.
Which one did I send you?
I never received it.
Okay, well, it's,
Hand them to the board, but I will need them.
so these are the 7 structures, if you want to look at them and pass them down, that are just in my subdivision. My subdivision, Lake Petenwell, is just 2 streets. It's 19th and then View Lane over there. And these are 7 buildings that you were allowed. Some were across the road like mine's going to be, and the rest are an adjacent lot. The town of Monroe did approve my application for the property. I did talk to my neighbors. I talked to most of them. I got to it and I had no problem with approval. I have a lake lot. We've been there for just short of 30 years now, which is over here right on Lake Petenwell, and right across the road. We have a lot that I want to build a pole barn, 40 by 60, not to live in. I did talk to Robert, who's on one side of my property, and he was okay with it. And over here is Gary and Oscar, and they both were okay with it as well too. Diane was okay, the secrets are okay. A couple neighbors I couldn't get a hold of, so we'll see what they say. But I did have just the people who are in direct area around me were all okay with it. You do have a picture of the pole barn. It's a 40 by 60 with called Uncle Jeb porch or a good neighbor porch. I'm trying to make it look as nice as possible. I have windows. The door I picked for the front, the 10 by 10, is actually a carriage style garage door to make it look residential. So I'm trying to do everything possible, to make it look nice and homey. I do have the house across the street, and I can't build on that lot because the house is right in the middle and it's heavily wooded around me, and I don't want to take those trees down. Right now, my lot is.
Which one is yours up there?
This one. Okay.
And then
And
across. and
this
that-
is where the proposed shed is going.
Yeah, and like right now, I just have, like, this is the front of my lot, this is the back of it. I have trailers there, I have a pontoon boat there. I store antique cars, so I bought an antique car for each of my 3 kids. We're gonna keep them there. I have my antique car, I have antique boats I restore. I just want a place for my toys. And in the front, because we're putting this all the way in the back, so it's actually gonna be, out of the way and out of view. And Gary and Oscar and everybody's like, this is great, but in front, I want to have horseshoes for, my family to play. I want to have a volleyball net. This is all part of my home. And I've been there for almost 30 years. I take care of all my neighbors. I do electrical for them, everything. We're a family, and I would never do anything to make it not copacetic, shall we say. So I guess I'll give you kind of well, these are the other structures. Like I said, there are just the ones I took pictures of, just on our 2 blocks. There are 7 other structures. I think it was 3 across the road and 4 on the next lot, but they're not part of the home lot, a totally separate lot. So I'm just asking to have the same exemption my neighbors had. And that's it. And here's the pictures of my lot.
How big is your lot?
It's a half acre. They're both half acres.
Where your house is a half acre?
Yeah.
And where this is a
Correct.
half acre?
And I did receive correspondence from the town. They did not object to the request for a garage on the vacant lot across the street, and that was at their August meeting.
And the homemaker is adjacent to this lot.
It's across the little road. It's a dead end road, and I'm right near the end of the dead end because it's Petenwell Pines. You can drive into the lake. That
It's-
would not be good.
Bob, it's up there. So
You can see
here's the road.
here's the house, here's the road, here's the-
That's my house, here's the lake, and that's their garage. And this is where it ends. And they all said yes, 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 and then yes, and then this. So that's who I talked to, but I can't say I talked to everybody. But I know that notices went out because I was told they went out.
You send out notifications, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I think you guys get a copy of the map that get the notifications.
Yeah.
It's one with a pretty blue bubble, or
Everything, the yellow is my property and the neighbor's property.
everybody that's highlighted got a notice.
And I know we've done this in the past, that I know.
Where you would deed restrict it, that the 2 cannot be sold separately.
Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, this is not gonna be sold separately. This is the family house. The building's all the way in the back of the lot, in the corner of Gary's and Oscar's. Doesn't affect anybody else. All that is gonna be for play right across. I mean, it's just gonna be,
So, adjacent to your property, where is the next pole barn adjacent to your property? that you're
You know what I'm getting at? You say your neighbors have pole barn.
yeah, or garage structures. Okay, so.
Now, yours is gonna be what, 40 or 50? Yeah, that's yours, I understand.
And this is Oscar's over here,
Yeah,
and he's over here.
Yeah.
And then they have theirs over here,
Okay,
and then over here on this side
okay.
of the road,
So there's multiple pole barns in this general.
just in that area. And then if you go on the next block, which is B,
Same.
it's the same.
It's a matter of curiosity, where, you got some antique cars,
Oh, you really want to know?
and where they at?
All over the place. Well, there's one that's at the property on my house parked. It's a 1967 F-350 farm truck, really, 4 on the floor to grandma gear. Beautiful. I have a 1968 Mustang Fastback for my daughter. That's in Berwyn, and I own a building there. And then I have a 1962 Mercury Monterey, and then a 1958 Ford Custom 300. They're in Baraboo Menards, in their storage, along with a trailer.
I was wondering, what is the size of just the car?
Oh, yeah. And then I have what I showed on the property itself. I have, trailers there. I have a big pontoon boat. I have a speedboat, and you gotta pay for storage for those. And then I picked up a 1959 Cutler DeVille, which is an old fiberglass 14-footer with the big Cadillac fins. So I'm gonna restore that. It's just a place to put, the fun stuff. And they had the family come over, and there were the ATVs and the bicycles and so on. And like I say, in front, I want to have the volleyball nets, and I want to have the horseshoes, and we're not going to have a bathroom in there. We're not going to have water. This is a, just a storage place, but still we can, use the part on the front for playing and just walk across the little road and you're there. This way my property can stay wooded and pretty, nice shoreline, and.
Any other questions for me?
Where's the home situated, if that lake is?
The yellow part on top.
Home located on,
Sorry.
lot 26.
You can see it in the picture, Dave.
Okay, that's what we're gonna packet. So the home is over here, and the garage is over here, and mine basically starts, actually, this is not drawn to scale. Mine starts literally near the end of his garage, and this is Robert's property, and I did talk to him. I was removing trees from our property line, his dad.
What does he have as far as the setback, his house, is that 10 feet?
His is, I think, 20.
And what are you proposing your setback?
The proposed setback was 15, but then I changed it, and it's gonna be 25 and 20.
Okay.
And again, the minimum was 15, but I decided, bring it out even more.
Let's open it up.
I don't want that, sorry.
At this time, same thing, 3 minutes, state your name and address. At this time, we'll ask for people who wish to speak in favor of the request. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of the request? Third time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the request?
We did a Gary there. Oh, that's him.
He's trying to talk.
Can't hear him.
Yeah, I'm asking him to unmute.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay, this is Lisa and Oscar Went. We're just adjacent down the street from there, and we're all in favor of it. They're small development and small town roads. To be honest with most of the neighbors there would just as soon have somebody put up a garage versus another home with more traffic, more people, and so on. Andy's been a great neighbor, and I'm sure it's going to be a very nice place, and I think he should have it. It's directly across the road from his house, so it isn't like he's gonna live in it or do anything else like people think. So that's it.
There was somebody else there too.
Gary, were you trying to speak as well?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I live, Jerry Peitsmeyer, 818 19th Court and 821 19th Court. And I have no objections to the house, to the garage. The lot is across the street and diagonal from our place. And I know it's gonna be nice, I'm not worried. And I agree that I would rather have a barn there than another house with an additional septic system and all the things that go with that. So my wife and I have talked over, we have no objection. We'd actually like to see it built.
All right, thank you. I think I did it. Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Third time, anybody wishing to speak against the request? Mr. Chairman?
Okay, close the public comment. Or any,
Make a motion.
I
I'll make a motion that we accept it, and the reason being, it's well thought out, it's well planned, he's checked with the neighbors, and there's little or no objections to that. The town is approved. The town has no objections to it.
deed restricted.
The board approved it.
Did you want to deed restrict it
Deed restricted.
to be, it can't be separated from the other parcel?
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
It is
Then it's the
not
same
the
as-
same part,
yeah.
I assume it's not the same parcel.
It's not.
It's right here.
Because it's,
It's not the same parcel.
This is where the shed's going. The one that's highlighted. That's where the shed's going. This is his house. If the two were touching, he wouldn't be here. We'd just make him survey it together into one parcel. And then it's all one parcel. because his property lines don't touch, we can't do it that way.
Two separate parcels now.
Right. Unless you put a condition on that it's deed restricted into one and they can never be sold separately. Unless it was brought into compliance, like a house was built on the lot.
The condition that I would entertain is that he can't sell one parcel as it exists, separate from the other parcel.
Of course not. That's-
Yep, so
That's what.
a motion to deed restrict it to one, not be able to sell separately.
Correct.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now you'll need a motion and a second to approve the application with the attached conditions.
Robert's gonna make that motion, right? And Linda's gonna
And I'm
second
gonna
it.
second. Thank you.
All in favor?
And Bob, what we actually just did with the deed restriction, because of the road is there, we actually conform to the ordinance.
Basically.
That's what we actually
Close as
basically
possible.
did. That's why I
But-
said the deed restriction. you need-
The next application is for Robin Kahn, special exception request under section 396.
One question, I'm sorry. Because I already applied for the permit and I got the exemption. Do I still have to reapply for the permit?
No, I have it.
Yeah, that's
We'll
something to
put
go.
it through.
Well, you have to still get the permit.
And you want, oh, I still get the permit?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, we have to issue.
We have to process
Oh,
it
okay,
and get it to
okay.
you.
Do you want these pictures you sent me? Monday?
Yes.
Thought I
please.
took-
Yes. you
I didn't take them
did.
already?
There was.
Okay. Thank you all again. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Section, special exception request under 396-30A of the Adams County Shoreline Water and Habitat Protection Ordinance to allow change of the slope and excavation for a walking path to the lake on property located in the southeast quarter. Section 6, Town 18 North, Range 6 East, Lot 3 of Jones Point subdivision. The address is 1391 West 13th Ave, Town of Preston. The Town of Preston did not object to this request at their meeting on August 21st. And the applicant did also supply us with information that Brian Stanley from Property Works, who is here, is representing her. And I have no other correspondence.
What do we see on this?
Brian, you want to explain the project? Is that?
Project, the property has really meets all the requirements. She's only asking for a 12-foot wide path at the top, 35 feet buffer zone down to the lake to get a slope that's walkable. Right now, it's kind of a drop off or steep slope. There'll only be one tree removed that allow for the path to be put in. Dusty, I believe you were out to the site, because I made her contact Dusty before I would write the paperwork for her. She's well within her rights of the 33%. She's got 155 feet of shoreline, and she's only asking to use 12 feet of it to get down there. She has a pier with steps that are right alongside it right now, and people say, you know, you get down there. The problem with Roche Tree Lake, if you go there and look at how the pier sits with the water, you can't get off of the pier to get into like a kayak or a canoe. So that's the main purpose, is for her to get the kayak and canoe. So she's not looking to change anything else on the shoreline or to drop off. It's only about, four steps. It would be all done to code as far as soon as we strip back the topsoil and took the sand out of there, we put the topsoil back in, we would seed it all within a day. It would be covered with straw matting, and the sides of the hill that are cut out too would also be straw matted. It's about a 6 or 8 feet drop right now at the end, but it would get cut back 35 feet from the high water mark. Not actually touching the water or the shore itself, just the hill behind the high water mark.
Dave, any question?
I have played in England. Where's Jones Point? Roche Tree Lake, it's on the south side.
So.
Oh, it's on Roche Tree Lake. Yes.
So here's 13.
Okay.
South Shore. towards the west end.
All right, no, I know.
And these are the 1-foot contour lines that you can see right at the edge.
You know, it's kind of crazy because all the neighbors have basically walk out to the lake. For whatever reason, her property right in the middle has just drop off. So she has no access on her property, easy access.
Hope, comments, questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I'd like to talk about, you know, the neighboring ones are not precedent. But the BOA here, we're always referring to some specific unique characteristic of a property. And we rarely find that, you know, in our decision, but this one actually does have a unique characteristic that invites special conditions, special treatment, and that's what he's asking for.
Brian, you don't have any side views or anything, huh?
No, just the grade of it. The biggest thing that's got going for it there, when we talked about it, is she's only asking for 12 feet. Technically, if she was asking for a doing property, she could clear the whole trees within up to 33% of it, which would be about 50 feet of it. So the unique situation here, there's also a brick patio up on top. I think you've seen that, Dusty?
Yeah.
That falls in this, and she's gonna allow me to take that out and be grass, so that'll get rid of that permeable surface. So even though she doesn't have to, she's even giving up more on that just to have this walking path down here. So she's really minimizing what she's asking for here. The only reason even being here is just because it falls under the code of the excavation amount. But as far as what she's asking to do is really minimal disturbance.
Is this a new owner?
No, I think she's owned it a while. I can't honestly answer that.
Curious after, you know, how many years has, you know, she finally decided to do this, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not,
At this time, well, same thing, 3 minutes. Name and address. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of this request?
Al Honor, 1041 Check Avenue, Preston Township Chairman. With this system was brought up with our planning commission, and with all the questions that were answered, all the diagrams, it was a well thought out plan. We had no objections to the ordinance change. Various.
Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of the request? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of the request? Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Third and final time, anybody wishing to speak against the request? Mr. Chairman.
okay, any other questions from the board here? Not, motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion that we approve this.
You have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
You have a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. The final application for the day is for Thomas and Amy Schlangen. Special exception request under section 40112C of the Adams County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to allow an accessory building prior to a residence on property located in the northwest quarter, northeast quarter, southwest quarter, southeast quarter, section 16, town 16 north, range 6 east. Lot 13, Easton Shores. The address is 1037 Edgewood Pass, and that is in the town of Easton. The town of Easton. Recommendation to allow a structure with knowledge that a residence will be built within 2 years. I don't know the date of the meeting, but the reason I hesitate was because it wasn't marked at the top, but the reason for the description says recommendation for approval or to allow it. That's the only correspondence I have.
Any others are comments after the fact?
Yes.
So the shed is up already. Dave, you got any questions?
No, I don't.
Oh. Linda?
No.
Robert?
So Easton approves this with the
With the 2 year.
with that exception?
May I speak?
Doesn't say it.
During public comment?
I was speaking on the town of Easton. Why does not object or object was not checked.
Yeah.
Because it was brought to our attention at that meeting, the plan commission meeting, that we shouldn't specify either one if we want the Board of Adjustments to make their determination. So we are aware of the ordinance, that's why that is in there as the reason, but we do not object or approve. It's up to you guys.
You said you do not object or?
We are letting you guys decide.
We're passing it on.
Being fully aware that there is an ordinance in place, but Easton has in the past approved other buildings, even before the back building. So we're gonna let you guys, you're on the line.
Why we get paid the big buck? Robert, any question?
With that in mind, sure we should have some questions.
So is there intent to build residence?
No, there is no intent to build at this time.
Oh, there's
These
not.
are, we use this property, what this shed was built for is for storage of our landscaping equipment and such, and for gardening, doing flowers, plants. We use this this is where we have our camper. We are from Madison, or just south of Madison. We come up here on basically pretty much a weekly basis. We love it, and we got it from our neighbors when we bought it, and it has water for our campers here. That shed is there, and the reason it was 12 by 13, or basically just, I didn't want to make it grow small. Like, okay, we have for the gardening, we do have our grandkids that do come up with bikes and such to store things, but it's mainly for, it's just a storage shed to have a storage building. Actually, but we do not plan on building on it. And I did, just to help better understand your ordinances, the, county ordinances and whatnot, I did contact our lawyer just to help me, go through things, which we do have according to section 40512C, which you probably guys are aware of. I'm assuming is that it said basically in here, it does say in pertinent part, a special accessory structure a special exception must be granted to place an accessory structure with no principal structure, which basically with your permission. And as long as I meet the R2 agreements with the zoning agreements as far as for your gardening or the land with gardening, rain, seed, food crops, planting trees and such. We do want to put some apple trees on the property. Things like this, and that's what the shed is for, is to take care of and maintain the property, to have the equipment in it, to maintain it, maintain the property.
What makes you put up a building without asking for a permit?
Be honest with you, there's a portable building, it's not on, and that's what I assumed that I could have.
Where you live now, your residence, you do something, you get a permit?
Yes. But what I had just stated, sir, is I assume that it's on skids, it can be moved. And that's, when you ask, that's where the question, that's what I'm answering is, I assume since it was, that's me. But then in the process, I better call after, why I waited, I did not do that intentionally, but it's something I did not call, or, it's a portable building, is why I put it up, assuming that would be okay. But then in the process, it's like, well, I better call our County of Adams and go through the process. in that process, and that's why we are here now. I screwed up by putting it up first, but within what we're saying with what my attorney is kind of implying that it can be allowed. As long as I
I've got a question. We need help from Dustin here. I've had a lot of my friends say I keep the wheels on this shed and it's legal. Another one say I keep skids under it, makes it legal. What is the law?
There's no truth to that whatsoever.
Well, if it's a shed with wheels on it,
It's a shed.
it's a shed.
But I don't see a lot of sheds with wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, the ordinance does not distinguish between temporary and permanent structure. A structure is a structure.
Okay.
And what's the minimum that they would have to ask for a question?
150, maximum.
149.
Well,
149 square feet?
under 150.
What do the neighbors say about it?
We would have notified them. They have their opportunity to speak during the public hearing.
When we've been up there,
I'm looking at the picture and I don't see any trash or anything laying around it, you know?
Well, that picture's 4 years old.
and that is part of the reason, I mean, with what you're saying, as far as next number, part of the reason also is that just to maintain the property.
Trash up the inside.
No, that's not what I'm saying, as far as, I understand, yeah, but that's where the shed comes in, so I can have my tools, I can keep maintaining it. So it's our, basically a sign that we do have when we drive in, it's our sanctuary. It's our, our little oasis, if you will. And that's where that shed came in, and that's where that all, and I put it up. I understand now when you're saying the ordinance says it doesn't matter whether it's on skids or this or that. I understand. So that part I get, but I assume, which without checking, as far as that part goes.
Is there a double permit fine for this or?
We do have that option. A lot of times when people have to come before the board, they're paying a $400 fee, so I don't always charge them the double fee because there's already somewhat of a monetary penalty for that.
Where is it on the lot?
I did pay the $200 double fee
It's
for
right
the
Oh,
initial.
never mind. They did. I wasn't handling it from the beginning. I believe the drawing that's in there shows it to be about right. If you look up, is that about
Yes.
right in that area?
Yes. Yeah,
Kind of right where it opens up.
yes, yep, right in, roughly in that area, yes.
Now you come up with your camper. Is your camper parked there?
My camper's there, yes.
Is your camper there parked a permanent basis?
During the
Pretty much.
summertime.
But
But
then
at
you
home, but unless we decide to go somewhere else, otherwise for the most part, that's where it stays during the summer. I take it back home in the fall, coming up in October and whatnot.
To put it away for the winter?
Yes, yes,
Do you have electric to the property and sewer and water?
yes, yes,
You have sewer already?
yes. That was there when we bought the property.
Oh, okay.
The electric, water and sewer was all on the property when we purchased the property.
What was on the
Basically-
property before you had it? Was
What's
it a
that?
house or just?
No, it was used for exactly what we're using it for also.
Okay.
Because we bought it from our neighbors, from home. It was kind of to us, the property was a godsend for us. We, put it this way, I get emotional, but my wife cried when I took the camper home the first time in the fall.
Let's open it up to the public.
So but I put up the shed thinking portable was, skids were, it was portable, thinking that was okay, but then something in my head said I better call, and that's why we're here.
So you turned yourself in, nobody
I
else
did.
did?
Yes.
I make a motion about.
We gotta open it up to the public first.
Public first, Robert.
Same rules, 3 minutes, name and address. At this time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the request?
Jody Shakey, I'm neither in favor or not in favor. I would just ask the board to consider that this gentleman and his wife came before you knowing full well that they put a building in before they should have, and they're asking, for your help. It's a 12 by
26.
26 building, not the 40 by 80 toy house that you approved earlier with no home ever wanting to be built on it. So I'm hoping you consider that. They have family coming up for camping, need a place to store their equipment and materials, and so just putting that out there.
And
Thank you.
if I may, along with the 12 by 26, it is not, that is why it is only that big. It was, I agree with the gentleman before, go big or go home. But on the other side of that, with it being our little oasis, that is why it is not.
Abe, were you done? Okay. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Anybody wishing to speak against the request? Third and final time, anybody wishing to speak against the request? Mr. Chairman?
Okay, board members, approve or deny? Motion 40 by 80.
I think he just started making a motion. Right? Weren't you making a motion? Oh.
No,
I heard you say something and then they interrupted, so I didn't know. Okay,
What was it?
motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. They were gonna make you do a 40 by 80, but we changed our mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But you gotta speak up too. You want them to speak up.
That's the end of the public hearings?
Any correspondence?
Because
Nope.
they didn't hear you start.
Is that next meeting date?
They did not hear you start.
Second?
Yeah, the second, October 2nd.
Same place, same time.
Okay.
Do we have? Do you know what we have for application?
For October.
Everybody got that October 2nd?
We have like one.
I think there's only ones.
Okay. So we need a motion to adjourn.
I so moved.
Okay, my second.